In the crazy realm of Blue Lock, weapons and abilities are often split into two categories. Technical abilities that range from dribbling all the way to shooting and passing, and then physical traits like endurance, agility, and strength. However, one physical aspect breaks the mold completely, because it bridges the gap between being purely physical and being a weapon that has a lot of techniques incorporated into it. Of course, I'm talking about speed. And so for all of you speed lovers, buckle up, because we are going to rank the top 10 fastest players in Blue Lock. Starting up straight with number 10, Kurona Ranze. Now, stat-wise, Kurona's speed is rather impressive and even higher than some players on today's list. However, that's all due to the way Kurona actually utilizes his speed. You see, in a complete opposite fashion to everyone else on today's video, Kurona's speed doesn't shine in traversing huge areas. It is actually all about his fast cuts and turns. You see, even though Kurona might not be the fastest when it comes to long distances, he is without a doubt top 3 in cutting corners. This means that in small areas and distances, Kurona is almost unrivaled, because he is very capable of holding down a parameter, where he is the fastest player in that domain, being even able to circulate more than one player a lot of times before they even have a chance to react to what he is doing. This means that in certain areas, especially in crowded positions, Kurona is almost unescapable. But more impressively, this ability of his to circulate players actually makes him a great right-hand man, because he presents almost infinite options to his teammates. As long as Kurona is close by, they know they have an option to pass to whenever they like to. Simply because due to his speed, Kurona can find the empty spot near his players, and he can get to there before almost anyone. And this honestly gave him such a unique support role that I don't think we've seen anything like it in the entirety of Blue Lock. However, and because it's not technically sprinting and he cannot beat the other speedsters when it comes to long distances, I am placing Kurona at number 10. At number 9, however, we have a tie between the demon Shido Ryusei and the lone swordsman Yukimiya Kenyu. Now, to be honest with these two, things get a little bit exciting, because despite them being equally fast when it comes to stats, they utilize their speed very differently, and honestly this is what I'm talking about. When it comes to speed in Blue Lock, it's not all about how fast you can run. It also matters a lot how the player utilizes his speed and what techniques he incorporates to it. As for Yuki and Shido, as I said, they use their speed very differently. For Shido, the name of the game is actually being slippery. You see, with his instinctive play, Shido can shake off almost any player. However, characters with insane perception or metavision can very easily see the same Shido sees, and so his speed actually plays a crucial role into making him the threatening striker that he is. You see, even if you react at the same time as Shido, he will simply be faster than you, as Isagi found out in chapter 257. Even though Isagi reacted before Shido because he knew where Hiyori would send the ball, Shido still managed to catch up to him because he is that much faster. Yuki, on the other hand, is the complete opposite of Shido, while the latter utilizes his speed off the ball. For Yuki, it's all about dribbling with the ball. You see, with his street style dribbling, Yukimiya Kenyu is one of the most formidable players when it comes to one-on-one, because, and I think there isn't a player that does it better than Yuki, the moment the player is thrown even a little bit by his dribbling, Yuki will utilize his insane speed to cut the other way, completely blowing the defender off. And in the earliest stages, before we got introduced to Metavision, Yuki's dribbling was honestly one of the most threatening weapons in the entirety of the show, simply because it was way too hard to deal with his dribbling and his speed at the same time. However, I hear you asking, if Shido and Yuki are speed demons that utilize their speed to the fullest, why they are ranked so low? Well, I think covering number 8 will explain it perfectly, where we are going to have yet another tie between Kaiser and Otoya. Now, Kaiser actually utilizes his speed exactly the same way that Shido does, albeit Shido does it instinctively while Kaiser does it by relying on his metavision. However, Otoya has to be the most unique speedster on this list, because instead of using it to shake off the defender straight up like Kaiser or Shido, for Otoya his speed serves one purpose: to take the defense by surprise. You see, being the sneakiest player in Blue Lock, Otoya's whole game plan is about swiftly cutting between the defense before they even realize what happened to them. And honestly, it fits so well with his playing style. You see, even if the player becomes aware to Otoya's sneaking, by the time they actually do, well, it is too late, like we've seen it happen to Rin in the third selection, or more impressively, like we've seen him in the NEL against Bastard Defense or even Chris Prince. And honestly, this is such a huge speed feat for him, because, and a little bit of a spoiler, Chris Prince himself is a speed demon as well. And so, as I said, I think Otoya utilizes his speed a little bit better than Yuki and Shido, as is the case with Kaiser. You see, because Shido rely on metavision, his speed is not that impressive compared to someone who actually scans the field and actually takes time to understand it. And for that reason, I am placing both Kaiser and Otoya above Shido and Yuki. However, coming up next at number 7, we have the bullet train Zantetsu. Now, I know, it is a little bit shocking to place Zantetsu this low. However, as I said, this list will be including the pros, and so it is pretty fair for him. As for why I'm choosing Zantetsu here, well, if you could believe it, with him we actually enter the realm of insanely fast players. You see, unlike Shido, Yuki, Otoya or Kaiser, whom we've seen other players react to their speed, Zantetsu stands on a league of his own, with no one actually coming close. If he starts sprinting, only a select few are able to stop him, and in fact those select few are all above him in this list, and so he is very worthy of being here. However, I gotta say this, when it comes to the U20 category, no one comes close to Zantetsu's acceleration. While he might not have the best top speed, and actually he is beaten by only one player, when it comes to pure acceleration, no one really beats Zantetsu. And so from all of this, I think he is very worthy of being number 7. At number 6, however, we have his partner in crime, Chigiri Hyoma. Now, to be honest, I've been very tempted to actually put Zantetsu on Chigiri's level. You see, even though Chigiri has the best top speed in the U20 category, he fails to Zantetsu when it comes to acceleration. And so, if we look at it, they kinda are equal. Zantetsu excels in short bursts, while Chigiri is all about the long term. However, I gotta say this, after training under Prince, Chigiri now utilizes his speed better than any other player in the U20 category. And it means something that just due to that speed, Chigiri is one of the best dribblers in the show, because unlike other players who excel at just running, Chigiri is all about penetrating the defense. He is all about zigzagging between his opponents. And I know what you might say, that Zantetsu also excel at this as well. However, because of his low IQ and his weak mentality, Zantetsu fails to attain the level of dribbling that Chigiri actually has. And for that reason, and because when it comes to top speed Chigiri is better, I am definitely confident in putting him above Zantetsu, which, by the way, it is time for me to say it. Chigiri is actually the fastest U20 player we've seen as of yet, and the remaining 5 players on this list are all professional players. And so, without any further ado, let's jump to the top 5. And we are going to open the list straight up with Blake. Now, to be honest, if you asked me a few months back if Blake is a fast player, I would have said definitely no. He is very muscular to be that fast. However, as we've seen in the Nagi spin-off novel, he made quick work of Zantetsu, the same player that Chigiri actually struggles a lot against. And for that reason alone, I am putting him at number 5. At number 4, however, we have the unstoppable force, Noel Noa. Now, to be honest, it only takes one look at Noah's dribbling and you will get the picture of why he is on this list. The guy is really a clockwork, cutting through the defense like a hot knife through butter. And that's all of course due to 2 weapons. The first of which is of course his rational eye, where he can in an instant determine what is the most optimal, the most rational route to take. And secondly, and of course, it is due to his speed. And I know what you might say, that Noah might not be above Blake. Sure, he might be above both Chigiri and Zantetsu of course, however we have no proof that he will be faster than Blake. Well, we actually do. And for me to explain that, we gotta go to the number 3 on this list. The perfect hero Chris Prince. Now, you have to understand, when we talk about Prince, we are talking about perfection here. When it comes to any physical aspect, Prince has the best body for football. And so when it comes to speed, I think only extraordinary people, I think only those with very special bodies can beat him when it comes to speed. As for why he explains Noah, well, he is the only player we've seen him keeping up with him when it comes to speed. And so, and even though I think Noah is definitely inferior to Prince, I for sure think he is very close. However, talking about Prince is honestly rather boring because he's just perfect at what he does, and he has the highest speed stat we've seen, the highest without getting into special people. And so let's jump right into them. Because coming up at number 2 we have Mark Snuffy's deceased friend Mick. Now, to be honest, I am cheating a little bit here, because there is no way for us to know where Mike stands when it comes to speed, except for the fact that his speed alone actually put him on the level of Mark Snuffy. And you could say that that's not the Mark Snuffy we know today, that's not the best player in the world. That's a previous version of Mark Snuffy. However, I still think that that's enough, because that Snuffy is still oppressive enough to win a big championship without actually getting serious, which by the way was the same case for his friend Mick. And so for that reason I think Mick has extraordinary speed, and I definitely see him having more than 100 in his speed stat. And I really understand if you don't agree with this one, because it is purely speculative. However, you have to think about it this way. We have both Prince and Noah, perfect specimen, who actually cannot keep up with Snuffy. Yet this insane character was able not only to keep up with him, but actually be his only rival. And because we know he is a speedster, I am trusting in Snuffy's ranking and putting him at number 2. However, with that, ladies and gentlemen, we reach the number 1 spot. And I feel like if you don't guess who is in this spot, then you are probably watching Red Key. Hell, I don't even think you are watching Red Key. If you didn't guess that Loki is number 1, you are not watching Blue Lock whatsoever. And to be honest, what can I even tell you about Loki? The guy was even faster than Pain using his almighty push. The guy was even faster and stopped Vegeta on planet Namek. And of course we all know that the guy fought on equal terms with Flashy Flash and Monster Form Garo, and he was only beaten by Saitama in that verse. And so for those reasons, and due to the fact that he even distorts space-time, Loki is definitely the number 1 on our spot. However, that's the list for you guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and until next time, thank you for watching.